Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe. We're absolutely churning out the subscribers at the moment. Can't thank you enough for the support, and we're well into the off season at the moment. We're now up to Geelong, Gold Coast, Hawthorn to come. We should be around Christmas time. We finish these up, and then we'll be moving on to some more content. So stay tuned for that. We need to get this out of the way though for the next content to make sense. So if you can drop a like, drop a subscribe, it would really help the channel out. And it'd be a little bit of a Christmas present. Let's try and get up to past 5k. Let's try and do that as a team. You can become a member of the channel as well. Link is in the description to do that. We will be doing some live streams once I've got the live stream area sorted out. A bit of a change around happening in the off season for you guys and girls. And we're here with Geelong. As you can see, their list as it stands at the moment, 25.5 years of age. Puts them second oldest in the ladder, and experience 88.6 puts them second oldest. So after what I call last year a calamity, maybe, and I don't mean that in the nastiest point of the way, but it was probably a lot worse than what they expected. They haven't really addressed that in the terms of going really bold at the trade table or really bold in the draft, and they are a side that I look at with teams like Tasmania coming in and the concessions we expect for them, that they have to do something this trade window at the end of the season or the trade period after, or I would say that they've got to be in a bit of a problem. Now, we know Wells is a very intelligent man. I don't expect that to be happening, but they are a team that I do suspect seem to be clinging on to the age factor. And Segler retired, Flynn Kroger, Menegola was delisted, Asava Ratakalia went in a trade, Riccardi Simpson, they were delisted, Isaac Smith finally knocked it on the head, and Cooper White was delisted. So some players there that were probably best 22 when they were fit. Sam Simpson seems to be in and out of that side more than University Pond was in and out of a bar. Johnny Segler never quite got going. In that ruck area, we seem to complain about Geelong's ruck for about a decade. It feels like it's a common thing. Still hasn't got there. There's nothing really there, though, that was left that you kind of go, oh, no. Do you know what I mean? And it knocked them down on the age ladder. But let's have a look what they did. So, in a trade time, they didn't really do anything, which may be a bit of a surprise to some. I don't know if it was a surprise to me, but I did actually think maybe they would do something. But Connor O'Sullivan came in, and there's no doubt about this guy's class. And big, rangy key defender, can go forward, but I'd say his best football is down the back. When you've got Sam de Koning doing what he does, and he is stonewall to be a fullback in the AFL, Connor O'Sullivan gives me more of that centre-half-back vibe, where you've got like Jacob Wheaton for Carlton, that's de Koning's position, pinning the play. Feel like you can be a bit sexy and creative with O'Sullivan. Intense in the air, very good ball use as well, as you can see, 86%. Incredible aerobic capacity, and maybe learning off Blitzarbs could be a real big benefit for this guy, because I'm not saying he could be Blitzarbs, but I think working with him and being able to play a higher up the ground role and be a bit more of a ball user, I think he's a stonewall defender though. 20.4 touches, as you can see, very like Tom Stewart, likes to find the ball. 7 marks, 3.2 tackles. Remember, this is under 18 State League football though. Do you know what I mean? And in AFL, it's going to be a bit difficult, but I really like this acquisition. He is one of my favourites, and I think de Koning and O'Sullivan makes sense long term. Makes sense. And then they finally got a ruck, and in my opinion, the best ruck in the draft. I'm a huge fan. This guy knocked Broadbent out of the Peel side going back last year, which I think suspected would have cost him a draft position. He is incredible. He's got second, third efforts. His ruck craft is easily the best of any of the ruck draftees. Very strong in the air. Likes to fall into that hole down back as well. I don't think he's far away, and I think this is a really exciting acquisition from Geelong. 3 games at the under-18 championship for WA. 10 disposals, 2 marks, 23 hitouts, 2 clearances. Obviously, that massively improves for Peel Thunder. under 18 side, but honestly, this guy's mobility and his work rate around the ground is incredibly strong. And they were linked with TDK quite a bit, as were a few sides. They didn't quite get him. He's definitely that kind of ilk, that modern day guy that moves up and down the ground. You'll still get some work out of Stanley, but I feel like this kid here is the pick of your draftees. I really like this acquisition, and I think he will be a star. And I think he will be, I think he'll be full-time 2025. 2025 will be full-time. In and next, they did really well with these picks here, and this is where I thought Geelong, Stephen Welsh showing his nous. Sean Manor from Werribee playing mid-forward, 175, 80 kegs. Massive VFL year. And he's a mature ager, 26, so he's going to be ready now. 18 games, 25 touches, 3.9 marks, 5.6 tackles, and just under 2 goals a game. He has been really a late bloomer, particularly over the last 2 years of State League football, and one that I feel will slot in. A real excitement one, and I'm surprised some other clubs didn't go and buy earlier, really, to be honest. But he is plug and play, he's good to go. Geelong benefit from that. They've had good experience with this, and they did that quite a few times with their late picks. They're very smart as a football side, and I really like Sean Manor. He's worked really hard. It's really good for state level football as well if these guys get second opportunities. In next, George Stevens. I'm a big rap on George Stevens, and I think they absolutely nailed this at the selection. 189, 101 kegs. Watching how Geelong play, you like to play Collar Jasny, that oversized player. You've trialled players like Guthrie down the back, Mitch Duncan. You've got Buse, who's a thug. Feel like George Stevens fits that role, that he'll start down the back and then go in the ball. And looking at what Geelong have built, there seems to be quite a big, and it's very silent and subtle, onus on getting players that play multiple positions so the rotations come. And I think that's really interesting. We saw it in the State League football with Menegola being shifted around. It didn't quite work. And then he was delisted. And that says to me that it's not just his injuries, but they're trying to build a GWS who were the first to do it, really. And now everyone's jumped on the bandwagon. A guy that can play at halfback, then have stints on the ball, then go up forward. And George Stevens is that guy. Very physical, very, very pronounced with what he does. He executes the basics incredibly well. Working with the players that you guys have got up at Geelong, feel like this is a match made in heaven. I'm a big fan of George Stevens, should have gone higher, and I think he's a brute waiting to happen. And then they started getting a little bit creative, and they brought in Oliver Wiltshire. And this might have been a bit of a surprise for some people, but at Barwon Heads, he was taking the Michaela Strachan. He was absolutely dominating for the Barwon Heads Netball Club. And you can have a see here, 15 games, 21.4 touches, just under 3 marks, 2.8 goals a game. Again, they've gone with a goal sneak mid-forward. They've gone to do that, 180, about 70 kegs, someone's told me that's changed to. He looks like he's going to put on the size very quickly. And 21 years of age, he's done the formative years, and I feel like there is something here. And you look at the success of players like Brad Close, that no one talks about. If you watch football from a purist point of view, you see the impact of Brad Close. And they don't cultivate stars at Geelong. They cultivate effectiveness. And I feel like Wilshire's going to learn off Rowan, off Stengel, the excitement players, and really kick it on. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Oliver Wiltshire does. And I think that's a pretty good, smart pickup. Lawson Humphries came in next for them. And this was, again, another surprise. Another guy that was overlooked in the draft gone by. And 20 years old. And he's had a pretty good year in the Waffle reserves and playing league football this year. Big Swan District boy. Plays in the midfield. Can kick with both sides. Has got real silky touch. Playing across that wing and on the ball and then slotting at half forward, but can go at half back. 182, 72 kegs. Played the 9 games, 15.7 touches, 5.6 marks, the 2 tackles. Real strong output this year from Lawson. And he gets his chance, and this is one of them ones there where you look at it and you go, it's a speculative pick, but suddenly if this guy makes AFL level football, he's got all the ticks, and that's something that Geelong do when they recruit players. They don't worry about the basics. They worry about the green ticks, and they buy the players that they're looking for and back the system in to train them. And I think Lawson is that kind of player. Can play just about anywhere. He's got bags of tricks. Looks to turn the game open. Patrick Dangerfield not getting any younger. I like it. I like it. And then they went in and went on the freebie, as we call it, the freebie area. And they brought in Emerson Jecker. And I'm a big fan of Emerson Jecker. He was my boy up at Hawthorn. It's great to see him get another opportunity. Swung down back and swung forward. Big signs this year in the VFL that he's really improved his aerial prowess and his ability to use the ball. Again, they've gone with another utility. It's going to be interesting because I see him more as a backman. Hawthorn deployed him as a forward. It's going to be really interesting to see what you guys at Hawthorn do with him. But you look at him, and he did play forward at the start of the year, then went down the back for the remainder of the year. I feel like down the back is where he is. Got a very good read of it, really attacks the ball hard, and really looks to get it going. And whether this is something like a very Audi Lockie Henson type thing, at 198.92 kegs, he's got the ability to do it, and I think a second chance will do him good. Then you brought in another player that we haven't mentioned here. You Category B rookied him, so he played a handful of games for the Northern Knights, but you did bring in a gentleman called Joe Furphy, who we don't expect to see. Big boy from basketball, and it could be a very exciting thing to see where he goes. Looking ahead to next year, I want you to have a look at this. Currently, you own 1, 2, 3, and 4. You own them picks. You're going to have to hit the draft. Job Shannon is a guy that I'm looking at from Bendigo Pioneers for you guys. Key forward, should go in the early part, mid part of the first round, maybe the early part of the second. Played 13 games already for the Pioneers. 12 touches, 4.5 marks, 2.5 tackles, and half a goal a game. 192, 80 kegs is a real good starting point, but I do get shades of Tom Hawkins with him in the way he moves, the way that he isn't scared to drag defenders away, to work hard for his opposite man, and to play the link-up play. Big country boy, so it kind of suits the ethos of what you guys and girls go for. I really like this one, and I should be just keep an eye out for him. Feel like Job might be your man. And then we look at the best 22. It's a tough one, this, to see where it is, but I think you'll go decoding Tom Stewart, and I think Connor O'Sullivan will break into the side. Remember, this is almost effectively an early round 1 2025. So, look at it that way. Zach Godfrey, Jack Henry, and I think Mitch Duncan will retain it. I think the move to halfback will serve him right. Cam Godfrey, Max Holmes as the wingers, with Blitzarbs in the centre. Mears, Cameron, and Manor, I feel like, will lock down that half-forward role. Brad Close, Stengel, and Hawkins finishes it up. That will be very interesting to see. Just by round 23, round 24, do you bring someone in? But I think Tom Hawkins is still the man for that role. Reece Stanley, Tom Atkins, and Dangerfield. I think that when we do round 1 2025, this will be really interesting to see, because I feel like Dangerfield, maybe Duncan. I don't think Hawkins will be that. I think he will have phased someone through. Tanner Braun, Jack Bowes, Jai Clark finally breaking in. Gary Rowan's another one that's a wait and see. Real tough one to do, but I do hope to be able to do this and see 4 or 5 of the young blokes in there at the end of the season. But I'm not as negative on Geelong as some people. I think that they've kept that list profile for a reason, and they back themselves in to have a crack. How that works at the end of the season, time will tell. But there's Geelong. Much love, everyone. Look after yourself. Pom out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.